Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out another Bricky video. I cannot wait to watch this. Today's video is called the top 5 Warhammer 40k video games and media. I cannot wait to watch this. As some of you may know, I'm very new to everything Warhammer. I've been having a really fun time learning about it. I also, been wondering which video games should I get of it. I've seen quite a few of them on Steam. So I'm very excited to see this, man. I can't see what video games are great, what other things, he's and media, whatever the media is. I cannot wait to see what that is too. So thank you so much for being here, man. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, do not forget to hit that sub button, please, and thank you. And if you want to, you're more than welcome. Come hang out with me on Twitch. I'll be sure to put my link in the description down below if you want to go hang out with me over there. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Hello everybody. This video does not actually have a sponsor, but instead, it's just me shamelessly plugging my new merchandise site. It is no longer brickymerch.com. In fact, it is now orchid8.com, and we are launching the whole new site with a whole new look and some brand new products, specifically the B-Mote tee and hoodie. It's got the cute little D emote B on the front, both in the shirt and hoodie form, but on the back, a big old checkerboard of all of the awesome emotes that we currently have on Twitch and hopefully coming soon to memberships on YouTube. Along with this, we got some restocks. A couple things that were out of stock before have now been brought back in stock, and overall, there's a whole new site. It's looking a hell of a lot better. It's a lot easier to navigate, and so if you want to check that out, it's called orchid8.com. You can find it in the description, and to launch the new site, the whole goddamn place is 10% off for the next week. So if you want to grab something, every single thing on there is 10%. Go ahead and snag it. And
I'm sure this was longer than a week ago.
And let's continue with the actual video. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently running from the law for selling 2.4 terabytes of Commander Shadow Sun pornography. And today we are talking Warhammer, not the Warhammer I just explained, and not even the Warhammer on the tabletop, but in fact, Warhammer in media and video games. Two things that you generally don't see a whole lot of. Warhammer video games are not something I would call rare. Good Warhammer video games are more rare than a humble Craft Worlds player. Naturally, Warhammer games are really difficult to translate.
Because I did see there's like quite a few of Warhammer games on Steam, and I have no idea. Like, I was told Space Marine is good. I think it came out a little while ago, like about 10 years ago or so. I know there was a newer one that came out, Dark Tide, and there's just been a few that I've had people tell me that maybe I should try.
As video games from the universe, one, because of the insane varying levels of power. Like, how can a civilian take on a guardsman trained since birth, take on a space marine, take on a custodian, take on a tyrannid like tyrannocyte, or just a gigantic tyrannid monster, which then takes on an imperial knight?
Okay, that I'm just saying, all these look really cool, but that at work just looks really awesome.
and an emperor class titan, and a tyrannid bio titan, and then you get into the insane levels of the fleets and the naval battles, and it's just a whole new level. Having that all come together and fight each other is already ridiculous enough, but then you can't do a whole lot with the narrative either, because having different influxes of character motivation doesn't really happen in Warhammer. Everyone is so devout to either their cause, or they just aren't thinking, as in things like Tyranids and Orcs that have only a singular goal. But then you have the Imperium, and when you're in the Imperium, you can't go around being like, maybe chaos ain't that bad. If you're not 100% Emperor's Graces fully zealotous, then you get shot in the head. So having any kind of like fall from grace or character motivations where they kind of go against their government and the masses doesn't really happen. So naturally, unless you're doing some kind of like soldiers and brothers in arms story, or maybe like a detective story, i.e. Eisenhorn kind of books with an Inquisitor, it's kind of hard to make a lot of content for it. So through all that turmoil though, there are some pretty good ones, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of rank, but mainly just discuss the top 5 Warhammer video games, as well as talk about 3 pieces of Warhammer media that I think you should probably check out if you're a fan of it at all, and they come from different backgrounds, so I think it'll be interesting. First off, let's do that Warhammer.
And I know that there was a few comments saying that there's also like a fantasy side to Warhammer that isn't like kind of space sci-fi like. And I don't know, I think there was a few recommendations for like trailers. So if you guys want to see me react to those as well, like the fantasy side of Warhammer, please let me know, and let me know what I should watch. Like, what is the best thing? Is there more Bricky videos for like explaining that, or Is there maybe not as much lore it is than there is in 40k? I'm not really sure, but let me know if you guys want to see me watch stuff about the fantasy side as well.
Media part, because that's a lot easier to cover.
I like your hat, by the way.
First up is the Astartes fan film. If you haven't seen Astartes, like, come on, what are you doing? I'm sure you have, because it's got millions of views. But for that, like, one person down there in the comment section is like, oh, I hadn't seen Astartes. It's like, good, watch it. So
I think I'm that one person because I haven't seen it.
amazing. It's a 5-part little series made by, I think, pretty much one guy. Maybe he has some friends, but I think it's only the one guy. And he made a little...
Oh, that might be fun. If you guys want to see me react to this, let me know. Well, you know, this looks like it could be fun.
Film about some space marines going and securing some kind of cargo from either some kind of PMC or heretic cultists. I think it's a PMC. They didn't look fucked up enough. It's not just a simple, like, marines punching elves or punching orcs. It's got a little bit more intrigue to it, and it's a lot more subtle, which I like a lot. It also does a great job at adapting the lore. For a large majority of it, at least in a large majority of games, Space Marines kind of just like walk into battle, doing like a Chad stride, thinking they're so fucking hot shit. When in reality, if you think about a legitimate war zone or something, the Space Marines, while they do look cool walking in, which they do sometimes, they're a lot faster. They run incredibly quickly. They're constantly spoken that nothing that big should run that quick, and they're very tactical. They take positions. They have orders. They have not just bolt guns and giant thunder hammers and stuff. There is the good old Astartes combat knife, and it's nice to see all that stuff represented in a much more, I say realistic, it's Warhammer, but a realistic way. Pretty much all these things will be in the description, so you know, but definitely worth checking out. It's not too long. Go look at it. Secondly, we actually have a Warhammer film. Now, Warhammer movies, there are a couple of them, and unfortunately, they pretty much all suck. Any of the ones that you might think, oh, it was okay, it's not. It's probably just we have none of them, so the fact that we have anything that has like a little bit of effort put into it, you're like, oh, it's all right, when in reality, it's pretty terrible. It's like really big Resident Evil fans.
I mean, well, is he about to say something about I love Resident Evil. Like, Resident Evil is my favorite series of all time. Love it.
I like the Resident Evil movies. Like, they're not good movies, but they can be dumb fun sometimes. I get it. However,
I agree. Don't get me wrong. Love Resident Evil. Love all the games. They're amazing. The movies aren't as great as the games. They're still fun to watch, but some of them, especially like the last 3, were kind of like, I don't want to say hard to follow, but they were just kind of getting out there. There was like, okay, a lot was starting to happen. But yeah, the first couple of Resident Evil movies were fantastic. The ones after that, I still love them because I love Resident Evil. They were still good to watch, still fun movies to watch, but they were a little bit less in quality, if that makes sense. A little too much was happening.
The best Warhammer film is not even a Warhammer film. Now, there's a film called Event Horizon. It's in 1997 by Paul W.S. Anderson, I believe was the director. Now, speaking of Resident Evil, he directed a lot of the Resident Evil films, as well as, I think, Alien vs. Predator and a few other things. I don't particularly consider him a fantastic director. I think most of his movies are kind of mediocre. That being said, Event Horizon scratches that perfect Warhammer.
I did not watch the Monster Hunter movie, so I have no idea how that was, but I was kind of interested.
Deep space sci-fi horror itch. If you want to take Dead Space, Alien, and a bit of Warhammer and mash it together, you have Event Horizon. And the whole purpose of the story is it's far future, and there was a ship of the name of the movie, and that ship was in the orbit of Neptune and just disappeared. And then, like 4 years later, it's back. No one knows why. So you're gonna go investigate it. And it is exactly that. It apparently was a big inspiration for the first Dead Space game, and it makes a lot of sense when you do watch the film, but it's very creepy. It's got that awesome part where, you know, not only is there...
I love how he attempted to put this back there, but I guess YouTube copyrighted it for him, which is awesome. He's trying to put some more into the video here, but it is weird. You got to like flip it and blur it sometimes, and that's why I love giving my opinion as well when I'm watching something like that, like a trailer or anything. I love pausing a lot in those because it tends to get around the copyright most of the time. Usually with TF2, it's obviously a lot more lenient, but with like movie trailers and like scenes from movies and things like that, they are just really bad. And like this one, you know, from 1997, it could go all the way back to however long ago. It's insane the things you got to do to get around it sometimes.
They're a danger, but you also the danger of space and all the issues that space comes with. It's not perfect. There are some character motivations or character actions in the first third that I really don't like, and the effects don't always hold up, but for a Warhammer film, it is the best non-intentional Warhammer movie you're probably gonna get for many years. And last but not least, we have the Emperor Text-to-Speech series on YouTube. Now, a lot of people asked me when I made my video a bit ago about Warhammer.
Okay, this was also something that has been requested. It is on my list to watch, the Emperor Text-to-Speech thing. So yeah, let me know if you want to see me watch that as well, because I'm pretty sure there was a few people that wanted to, so I'm pretty sure it's already on my list to
why
react
I
to.
didn't mention him, mainly because I want to save it for this video. The text-to-speech series is a very cute concept. It is just a little Warhammer YouTube episode series where the Emperor gets a text-to-speech device implemented into his body, and now he can speak to the Captain General Custodian, nicknamed Kitten, because it turns out all the custodians have turned into a gay orgy because they've been stuck there for so long, which because of that provides the rarest thing since fucking Bigfoot, an actually good JoJo meme.
Oh wow.
Holy shit. What in the name of terror on fucking roller skates is this?
God bless him.
Okay, was that from the Emperor thing? Okay, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it now.
It's very cute watching this series because it provides a lot of things. It's obviously a comedy, and it's meant to be, but it's a comedy from someone who actually understands Warhammer lore.
Oh, that's
and
good.
In a
Yeah,
sense, it's definitely not something you should take as gospel, but it does have this like over-the-top style for most of the characters. For instance, in this series, you have a whole bunch of Mechanicus guys, and they fuck toasters. Do they actually fuck toasters in the lore? No, but they are crazed techno people. They're insane. Vulcan is a super nice guy who runs around hugging people. Does he do that in the lore? No. But the Salamanders are known to be a much nicer and caring chapter compared to most Space Marines. Magnus is a Yu-Gi-Oh loving nerd. Is he actually? No, he's just a fucking nerd. It's wonderful. It's very funny, and I would highly recommend
sounds funny.
it. And you do maybe need to slog through the first couple of episodes because they are a bit older and lower budget, but as time goes on, they get really good, especially after episode like 10-ish. And they're pretty short in the beginning. They get longer later on, so highly recommend. Give it a watch. It's very funny. And with that being said, let's move on to some Warhammer video games.
all right, here we go, some video games.
Shall close that cavern in your skull before it vomits forth more agglomerations of vexing questions.
My skull yields no hollow rock formation, Father.
Starting us off on 5 for Warhammer video games, we have Space Hulk Deathwing. Now, Space Hulk Deathwing is a fine kind of Left 4 Dead style game. You play as 4 separate Terminators, and that's what, you know, Deathwing is. I believe that's Dark Angels chapter, if I'm not particularly
Man, they do
mistaken.
look cool.
But you start
Those just look so cool, man. Very, very cool.
Terminators, and you are exploring a Space Hulk. And a Space Hulk is basically a big old derelict ship that's gone dark for God knows what reasons. Demons, Tyranids, who knows. So you kind of go through your little Left 4 Dead style thing, you kill a whole bunch of Tyranids utilizing a whole bunch of weapons, and that's kind of your game. Personally, I don't think Space Hulk is a particularly amazing game. I think it's good for a good 10 to 15 hours of fun, and then it gets a little bit repetitive and you kind of get tired of it. But visually, it's very well done. The look of the plasma and your power swords and your flamers and the way the Tyranids attack you and all, it looks very good. I like the very Warhammer style aesthetic and the music, and they nail that pretty well. I do think it's a solid time for a short time, but I wouldn't buy it at any kind of full price. I'd get it if you could find it on sale for maybe $5 and grab a few Warhammer friends. I'd argue that it's at least worth a little bit of your time. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but like I said before, Warhammer games are not particularly amazing as a whole. So I'm kind of breezing through this one.
I'm actually kind of impressed that it's multiplayer. Are most of the Warhammer games multiplayer? I don't really, because now I think about it, I don't know any. I don't have like a friend that really likes Warhammer. They were talking about Warhammer too much. So yeah, let me know if they're multiplayer. Maybe we can all play something at some point. Maybe we can play some Warhammer sometime.
It's not a fantastic title, but it's worth at least trying, at least checking out a little bit. At number 4, we have Warhammer Space Marine. Now,
okay, this is one that has been definitely requested a few times that I should check out if I want to play some video games. And I want to say that I seen this way back in the day on like the 360 or something. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's a little bit newer than that. But this is the one I've heard a lot about.
Space Marine is a very fun game that I think people think a little bit too highly of. It's enjoyable and a little more streamlined. So if you're just a kind of a regular casual gamer, you want to play a fun game and you don't even care it's in the Warhammer universe, you probably still enjoy this. It's a third-person shooter combined with a kind of beat-em-up hack and slash. I guess it's more of a beat-em-up kind of style game where you go around blasting a whole bunch of orcs that have invaded some kind of Imperial planet, and you also smack them in the face with power swords and stuff, and it's pretty damn satisfying at times.
That sounds fun.
The gameplay loop is by far the best part of this game.
Oh, okay.
It does not ever get old to run up and plasma pistol 3 orcs in the face and then just start beating the ass crap out of them with a whole bunch of Space Marine weapons. It is super fun, it's satisfying, and all of the sound effects really give you that nice, like, crunchy, hardcore Warhammer feel. At this point, you might as well just kind of have your streamlined action game because it works out better with the lore. What's the job? Kill the alien. Cool. The orcs definitely steal the show, I'd say. There's a little bit of chaos in there as well, but the orcs are by far more fun. They have that stupid, like, over-the-top Cockney accent with a whole bunch of the green skins that it's always funny. The orc war boss in particular is actually, I think, a very, very fun character. I like him quite a bit.
Whoa. Okay, I gotta play this. I'm not gonna lie, because I think there's an anniversary edition that came out this way, this one as well, which I'm assuming is like probably just one that has, you know, better graphics and whatnot. But man, you know, love the orcs, man. Gotta see what's up, dude.
And overall, the game looks very good. I like the Gothic tech factories that they do. It's kind of hard to pull off, and they did a pretty good job. I think my only downside is that it does have a lot of the early 2000s syndrome when it comes to video games, and by that I mean extremely railroading linear areas and tons of QuickTime events. Tons. And if you've played the game, you know there are some really egregious QuickTime events in certain very important parts of the game that shall remain nameless. Overall, I think people put it a little bit too high on a pedestal. It's a very digestible game. It's good for a large amount of audiences, but it's not amazing. It's not wonderful. But it's kind of like, hey, this is what we're gonna get, and we're getting a pretty okay product. I'll take solid and streamlined over bad and faithful. For number 3, we have Battlefleet Gothic 1 and 2. Now, a lot of these games I haven't played a ton of, I'll be totally honest, because this kind of gameplay style isn't entirely my cup of tea.
Wolflord Sven Bloodhound. Ooh, okay.
That being said, I am getting a lot of this recommendation via osmosis and asking various other Warhammer fans what they thought of the games. Personally, 2 sticks out the most because it opens with one of the biggest events in Warhammer history, which is the Fall of Cadia. And naturally, as a big Guard player myself, the Fall of Cadia is probably my favorite, like, event in the Warhammer history. It kind of has like the Avengers Endgame feel to it, where, you know, if you go watch Endgame, we can probably all agree that Endgame isn't quite as good as Infinity War, but everyone's here. It's a big collaboration, and because of that, it feels very exciting and fun. Even if it's not perfectly well told, it's still very enjoyable. That's basically what the Fall of Cadia is. It has everything. You've got St. Celestine, Belisarius Cawl, Lord Castellan Creed, as well as a whole bunch of other major characters like Abaddon the Despoiler, Tor Garadon, the Imperial Fists, and let's not forget the resurrection of Rowboat Gurlaman with the help of Yvraine, and a mysterious man known as Trazyn the Infinite, which almost saved Cadia, which is a huge turn of events. Everyone was there, and it's a very exciting story, even if it's not always the best written. But it opens with that, and the cinematics for it are really good. The music, the narrator just is fantastic.
And for every one of those 10,000 years, the
Oh,
fortress
okay.
wall of Cadia has held the gate closed. An adamantium bastion, granted strength by flesh and bone, and seeded purpose by faith in the Emperor's holy light.
It's hilarious to hear her name off the warship vessel of the orcs, the Mordaka Prime, with just a completely straight face.
survivors from the rechristened Mordaka Prime.
Overall, I'd say the story, especially the voice acting, is really good. In fact, that's a major point we'll talk about later, is the voice acting, because my final 2 games are also really good on that as well. However, this game is not about your average Warhammer stuff. It's not about little dudes on battlefield. This is a naval fleet battle, which I would say does go a little bit underappreciated. The naval battles of the 41st millennium are very important, and they have these giant Gothic spire ships for the Imperium. You've got the creepy Necron stuff, the hive fleets of the Tyranids, the jumbled together mess that is Orc war vehicles. It's very interesting to see this thing kind of fleshed out more. The gameplay, however, is much more of a tactical, slow-paced things about rotations and shields and all that kind of attack formations and things like that I'm not overly interested in. However, the music, the voice acting, and also the large swath of people you can play as between the Necrons and the Imperium and the Eldar and such does really make it a good recommendation, I'd argue. And everyone tells me it's also a wonderful game, so I wanted to go ahead and mention it because there aren't many great Warhammer games, and I do feel like this one in particular does deserve a recommendation.
It looks cool.
Moving on over, for number 2, we have the Dawn of War games. Now, I decided to combine the 2 of them into one slot.
I haven't seen too much of Dawn of War, but I did watch, I think it was called the retrospective review about Dawn of War, and it did like a decent game as well.
Because they're both the same group, and honestly, they're both kind of the same game, with some adjustments. Dawn of War is an RTS style game, and it probably is the game genre that fits the Warhammer universe the best. It's a lot easier to balance out the insanity of all the different kinds of units when you have something like an RTS that allows you to do that, as opposed to, say, a first-person shooter.
Makes sense.
Now, Dawn of War 1 is showing its age a little bit right now, but so are a lot of these games. And it's a more traditional RTS. You start off with commands, and you have workers, and you create all these different kinds of structures that provide to you resources, and that allows you to build units, go capture stuff, kill the enemy. Pretty standard RTS fare. Yeah. It also boasts a pretty huge selection of armies, everything from the Guard to the Necrons to the Orcs, and then you have the Sisters, and there's a nice combination. For Dawn of War 2, however, it's still an RTS, but it's a lot more of a squad-based tactics game. There's no base mode of any kind, and instead you control a major hero that can be revived, and you start building out different kinds of units and tech trees as you unlock more and more by capturing requisition points and trying to win in like a hold the objective style game, which I think does translate well now that we're in 9th edition Warhammer, and objective control is the major point of that game as well. Dawn of War 2 still looks incredible. It's like, it looks beautiful. I love the animations. I love the color scheme. It's got a little more bloom, but I don't know, I don't really mind that. And it's really nice to see all the different sound effects and the voice acting. And the voice acting of Dawn of War 1 and 2 is so stupidly over the top. It's so bombastically ridiculous that I cannot imagine it being anything else. If it was in any other game, it wouldn't work. But when you've got voice acting like this, it's fantastic.
Orcs. And where there's one, there's 100 of them.
Come, show me what passes for fury among your misbegotten kind.
Witness your doom!
Do the deaths of your soldiers mean so little to you? Are you that mad?
Do the deaths of yours mean so much to you, alien? Are you that weak?
Our task here is too important to let one such as you derail it.
Oh.
Did you say something, Eldar? I couldn't hear for all that hot air you's blowing.
Your infantilism is boundless, Orc.
And she still won't shut it.
You have made quite a name for yourself looting the petty lords of this subsector. You have also been known as a mercenary under their employ.
I? What's that to you? I'm catching your boys here. You're one of those inquisitive type things.
Okay, that orc just looks so cool, man. Very, very cool.
I thought yous were more for killing orcs than paying them. I like your hat, by the way.
And I really do think it's one of the biggest highlights of it, because it really puts you in that universe.
That was very cool.
You combine the really good music. It's wonderful. They both also have a wonderful modding scene as well. Dawn of War 1 has the Ultimate Apocalypse mod, which is basically like, hey, Okay, in the game you had the Baneblade. Now you've got 14 Baneblades. You've got the Hellhammer, the Shadow Sword, etc. Now you can have Emperor Titans and Imperial Knights. You can now build Death Strike nuclear missiles, and the Tyranids are in there. Here's your Hierophant Bio Titan. Here's your Orc Stompa. You can just build this insane amount of units, and it's way more fleshed out in the actual lore, so you can grab basically anything you want. Whereas there's also a mod for Dawn of War 2 called, I believe, the Elite Bomb that I found out because I was watching a guy named Indrid Casts. He cast Dawn of War 2 like pro matches, which I think is really interesting because you have these like 3v3 battles with all these different factions, and some factions that I don't believe were actually in the game originally either, and they're a lot more fleshed out. They had a lot more intrigue and interest, and it really is nice to watch, actually. It's surprisingly deep for a game like that, with the cover system and how you move characters and their special abilities. It's impressive. In fact, Dawn of War 1 actually has a pretty fantastic campaign. In fact, almost all the expansion packs have fantastic campaigns, besides one of them. Dawn of War 2 has some decent campaign moments, but Dawn of War 1 is really the good shit, all right? It has some really good characters, it has some really nice campaign moments, and it is by far worth playing. If you're curious about either of these games, I would recommend watching the Dawn of War 1 Ultimate Apocalypse review by Mandalore Gaming, or checking out Indrid Casts for the Dawn of War 2 games as well. See which one's more your style. I think I like the look and the feel of Dawn of War 2 better, but I do enjoy the gameplay, like the more traditional RTS of Dawn of War 1, so I'm a little bit back and forth. But
I'm the same. I'm kind of leaning to 2, honestly. Just looking at both of them, but I would play 1 at the same time. And if you want to see me play 1, just let me know.
Both games
maybe I'll pick one up in the future
of Warhammer content to cover multiple factions, lots of different units, and get the most inclusive Warhammer game in terms of all the variety as you possibly can. Finally, last but not least, we have Warhammer Mechanicus.
Mechanicus. I have heard this. I've seen this on the comments a few times of people that have recommended me playing something, and Mechanicus was always on the list.
Is the best Warhammer game currently on the market right now.
Really?
It is #1. The only reason you might consider Dawn of War better is because it has more of the things you might want. Mechanicus is much more streamlined. You play as the Adeptus Mechanicus, and you are an Archmagos, I don't know how it's pronounced, Magos, and you have stumbled upon a Necron tomb world. And your job, go look at it, purify it, exterminate it, do whatever you can, and finish off the Necrons before they all wake up, and you gotta get the hell out of there. If I were to tell you a bullet point list of what makes it great, I can imagine all of you thinking to yourself, oh shit, why haven't I played this yet? Well, first off, it's an XCOM style game. So you have top-down view moving your different units certain spaces, and they have special hits. However, unlike XCOM, no random chance. If you can shoot it, you're gonna hit it. It's a Darkest Dungeon style game where each encounter is moving through a little bit like section of the tomb world that has different special things that you have, like symbols and random encounters and the random chance kind of stuff that some people hate, but it doesn't really bug me that much. Some are good, some are bad. You build a party up. You've got a class-based system to upgrade your tech priests. You can bring different other kinds of minions like servitors, cataphrons, or maybe Skitarii vanguards and rangers. You've got all these different kinds of upgrades and new weapons you can unlock, and by working through the different people of your cohort, you can talk to one of the characters that's really big on saving her troops. You've got one guy who's the religious aspect of the Mechanicus, who constantly like speaks sermons and crap, and then you have the really techno diddly boy who's, or is that a girl? They all represent a different part of the Mechanicus, and it's just really impressive. And the sound design and the visuals and the music, oh my god, the music.
Okay, I'm liking this. Okay, very cool.
And even the Necrons are so well fleshed out. The Necrons are Necrons. They have reanimation protocols. They have scarabs that help heal people. They have Gauss and Tesla weaponry. Everything from your teeny little canoptic scarab to your Triarch Praetorian and a Destroyer Lord. There are some scary stuff in that goddamn tomb. And the Necrons do not fuck around. And in fact, in a weird way, it actually provides one of my favorite parts of the game, which is the voice acting.
What? Oh, that's so cool.
For your main cohort, you don't have voice acting.
Okay, I'm leaning to get this. I'm not gonna lie. I might go ahead and buy this. And if you guys want to see me play it, if you want to see me playing it for the first time or just some gameplay for it, let me know, and I might make a video out of it. Because right now, I'm probably gonna buy this. This looks pretty good.
You have like, I feel bad calling it gibberish because it's obviously way cooler than gibberish, but it's some kind of like, I don't know, low Gothic binary speaking or something. But that gives it, not only saves money on voice acting, but it has its own really nice flavor to it.
Yeah.
But then soon you realize the Necrons actually do have voice acting. The major Necron characters speak English.
What virtue do your kind have that makes you deserving of anything but next?
That's dope.
And that got me thinking a little bit, like, the Mechanicus believe that flesh is weak, and they strip themselves of it the best they possibly can in order to, you know, transcend, to remove their weakness and everything from their actual flesh to even their mind. The Necrons were dragged into biotransference against their will and became robotic slaves. And they're the ones that speak English. In an odd turn of fate, the Mechanicus, because they don't speak English, are more alien than the Necrons are.
Wow.
Which I just think is so fucking cool. If I had to have any downsides to Mechanicus, it's that the opening is a bit too hard and the ending is a bit too easy. The opening can be pretty brutal, and then as you get going, it becomes a little bit too easy and you start to steamroll. Honestly, it's an incredibly good game. It's the best Warhammer game on the market, both in terms of polish, being very faithful to the lore, and having great intrigue and design. Everyone should play it. Even if you don't care about Admech and Necrons, everyone should play it. I love it. Go check it out. Okay, and that's it for me. This has been 5 Warhammer games that I think you should really check out. This has been also some media. Definitely watch Event Horizon and Astartes if you haven't already. Those are such good little pieces of work. And text-to-speech is a little more of a commitment, but god damn it, it's worth it for the memes alone. All the games,
for the memes alone.
Hit or miss. I think some of you will definitely disagree with me on a couple decisions. I know a lot of people really like that Space Marine game, but honestly, regardless, there aren't a whole lot of great Warhammer games out there, and I think this is really the best options in the top 5 that you can really check out. If anything, definitely look into Dawn of War and Mechanicus. They're probably the epitome. Just don't go into Dawn of War 3. We don't talk about that one. Thank you to all my patrons and everyone who are going on this.
I guess Dawn of War 3 is just not that great. It's just not good.
I'm actually going to be changing up my Patreon a little bit to kind of streamline the process a little bit. I think it's a little bit too complicated at the current moment, but I'd like to kind of calm it down, make it a little bit easier, and make it just not so, I don't know, cluttered. I'm also going to be doing memberships on YouTube soon. That's more of like if you feel like it, kind of like the Patreon thing. You'll have your name up here as well, but it's more if you want to be part of some premieres that we might start doing, as well as other things like having emotes and stuff in the chat below. It's really just like a if you feel like it kind of deal. So thank you so much for watching. My name has been Bricky, and I will be seeing you hopefully soon for a Legends of Runeterra review that's taking me quite a while. All right, bye-bye.
All right, dude, that was awesome. That was once again by Bricky, and I'll be sure to put the original video and link down below as always if you want to go check it out. And if you haven't, please do, man. Bricky deserves all the love. Awesome creator, been absolutely loving his videos, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this reaction as well. And if you did, do not forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel here. If there's anything else you see me react to, more than welcome to comment down below as always, and I'll be sure to put it on the list to make. If there's any games you want to see me play that he was talking about, like he was talking about Mechanicus, I'm probably going to pick that one up. I might get Dawn of War 1 or 2, but I'm definitely leaning to pick up Mechanicus, especially because he said it was #1. It looked really good. The music sounded great. The voice acting sounded good. So if you want to see me play that for the first time, just let me know. And then in the future, I may get Dawn of War 1. I'm kind of leaning to it. I might get 2. And then Space Marine also looks like something I would play. So this has just been awesome. I've really enjoyed this. This video was great. And it was just great, man. So thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video. And do not forget, man, it's Orc Army for life.